this is the PP podcast. Welcome. We're going to talk about many things today.
Welcome, everyone.
I think I watched a movie that James, did you watch my movie?
I did not.
James, you motherfucker.
I didn't
I watched Memento the next day.
I've betrayed you. I am sorry. I'll watch it this weekend. We can chat next week.
That's fine.
I will commit to next
To be
week.
fair, I've had a lot more time this week than you, I think. So I watched a few movies. I've done my top 10, and I watched. Did you ever watch Avatar: Legend of Aang or Legend of Korra, the TV show?
No, I've watched the original Avatar: Last Airbender, but I haven't watched the other the Legend of Korra that came out.
Gotcha.
I'm actually in the middle of a rewatch.
Oh.
Because I watched it when it was coming
Yeah.
out when I was a kid, obviously, and so now I'm partway through book 2, rewatching it to get
It's so good.
get that experience. I was amazed actually by how much I enjoyed it, because Tom, my brother, watched it, and he was like, "Yes, actually, yeah, it's worth a rewatch," and so that's why I put it on, and have been pleasantly surprised.
I think it's. I know I'm quite like a hyperbolic person, so I'm like, that's my favourite thing ever. But Avatar's Last
I've never seen anything better.
is probably. I watched it obviously as like a kid with my sister, and then I rewatched it when I was like 17, and it blew my mind. And I think I've rewatched it now. I even watched it this summer again with my friend Martha, so I think I've watched it 4 or 5 times now. And
Wow.
I think every time any of the emotional music comes on, I basically just burst into tears. What was I doing? I was watching. Well, you watched that episode yet? You know the one where Appa, the flying bison, gets lost
Oh yeah, in the desert.
in the desert.
Yeah,
I was staying at my friend's over the summer, and I just got back from work, and I put that episode on because it was the next one. And then Martha came downstairs, and she'd been doing a dissertation. She comes downstairs, and I'm just wrapped in a blanket, just crying. The entire episode. Yeah, that shit gets me, because I've just been rewatching Korra now, because I've not watched it since it came out, and it's nowhere near as good. It's good, but it doesn't. It never hits the heights. So you got to definitely tell me when you're finished, because that'll be a good discussion to have.
Yeah, we can just sit and run through all that we love about it. That is, yeah, I get what you mean about the upper scene though, and then when Aang's then getting so pissed at all the raiders, I'm like, yeah, come on, lad.
Honestly,
you
I'll have
tell.
to edit out all of my sobs and sniffles when we start talking about it, though.
Yeah, there's just a good 5 minutes of you bawling your eyes out.
You will see me wipe away. I've even got the bit teared up now. I think I'm quite an emotional person. But there we go. Yeah,
It's okay. I mean,
so,
it's good shit when stuff gets you emotional.
100%.
Some of my top
Take
films
up
are the ones that, really, really make me sad in the moments that they're meant to.
Yeah, I think. To be fair, I'm looking at my top 10 that I did, and I think I cried at one of those. But last week how we were talking about go through your 5 starred ratings on Letterboxd, and just pick the ones that feel like your top 10, but the ones that are of a specific type, like a genre or something. I tried to do that, and then I realised that apart from 3 or 4, they're basically all action or sci-fi kind of things. So I had to throw that out the window. I've got a top 10, and it is varied, but I definitely couldn't. There just wasn't that much variety, I realised.
Yeah, but you can have, I guess, amongst that there'll be some variety in films that make you laugh and films that make you tense and films that make you cry, kind of thing. It doesn't have to just be a variety of genre.
No, there wasn't a historical period drama.
No.
The Downton Abbey movie is not in my top 10. I can tell you that.
I don't know if I can even think of period dramas that I've watched?
There's a couple Korean ones that are really good, and I mean like really fucking good. But I don't think I've got any. I don't know. Like I guess period drama is like stuff that's like mid 20th century and like back. But I guess in like 20 years you could make a movie that's set in the 90s, and that's a fucking period drama.
Oh fucking hell!
I feel like that's definitely a thing that happen. Or even like the 2010s, like
that would be
Minecraft.
so weird.
Like that's part of the period.
Watching like a future film that sets like a period drama in our time now, that would be. Yeah,
I think I'm gonna hate that.
That would be freaky.
Definitely.
My brain in a jar will judge it harshly.
Yeah. Oh wow. But yeah, do you want me to run through my top 10?
Yeah, I want to hear. I want to know what is your top 10.
So I had about 30, 35, 40, I think it was, like 5-starred movies. And there was like a lot of variety there. And there's a few films I'd actually forgotten about, and I don't know how, but I was like, oh yeah, I love that movie. But I've not narrowed it down to my favourite movie ever. That's still to be decided. But my top 10 is as follows, and it's La Haine, which is that French movie about ghettos and racism and shit. That literally fucks me up super hard. And then it's Memories of Murder, which is Bong Joon-ho, who did Parasite, and that's the best thriller like movie ever. And I think it was Zodiac by David Fincher came out like 2 years after it, and Fincher was like obviously inspired by the Zodiac Killer, but also by this movie.
Oh wow! I really like Zodiac, so I think Memories of Murder is actually already on my to watch. I think you've mentioned it to me before.
I keep shouting at Bill to watch it, and I think I probably told you as well.
Yeah, it is one it's one I'm definitely trying to get around to. And now
it's really, really good.
It sounds exactly like my kind of film. I love everything David Fincher's made. Well, that I've seen anyway. Yeah. And I love thrillers, so I feel like that sounds like my shit.
It's got just like it's intense, but it's also funny. Like there's comedy bits in it because in a lot of like Bong's stuff he likes slapstick humor. So there's bits where you'll be literally like really laughing, and then 10 minutes later you're like really tense and you feel like you're gonna have a heart attack.
Yeah, so, I mean, Parasite, like you saw that in that film, so
yeah,
I know what you mean.
But yeah, that's a really good one. And then some of these I'll just say because we don't need to talk about them because it's obvious. Empire Strikes Back, yeah. Star Wars, I like Star Wars.
Yeah, the good shit.
Yeah, and then Aliens, I like Aliens. It's really fucking good.
I'm gonna be. This is actually one where I'm like I differ because I'm just kind of towards Aliens. It just doesn't. I don't know why. It just didn't do it for me.
Is that like the series as a whole, or like that movie?
I've seen Alien and I've seen Aliens, and
you don't need to watch any of the other fucking movies.
I'll just save myself the time.
Where they are, Aliens 3 is like okay, 4 is actually worth watching because it's really, really bad and dumb, but it's quite fun to watch.
Okay, I won't watch it on my own.
No, watch it with like someone else.
But I might watch it like with someone else if we want shit on a movie.
It's a proper laugh. Yeah, fucking hell. Yeah, I mean, I love Alien 1. It's like a classic, and Aliens is just like pure 80s dumb sci-fi action, and I just love everything about that universe. But I could see like why. I mean, if it didn't grab you, it didn't grab you. But like, why do you think that was?
I don't know really. I guess maybe there's like one element of maybe if I'd have watched Aliens sooner, or like before other action films I like, maybe it would have grabbed me more. I think it didn't help that I watched Alien with somebody else who like isn't that into it. So like we kind of just laughed at Alien, like betting on he's dead, or like they're dead next, and then they were, and we're like, well, we called it.
That's fair.
Like when you know what Alien is, and it's like, well, everyone except Sigourney Weaver is going to die slowly over the course of the film. So like I like it, but it didn't. It's not like some films where you watch it and it's like, I now love this franchise and I need to watch the next one. So I didn't come into Aliens with that like drive from the first one to want to love it. So
Yeah, that's fair. I think the first time I watched anything to do with the franchise, I think I was like 12, and I was just going through like Sky Movies, and I'd somehow figured out the password to watch like the 12 rated and 15 and stuff. And I think I just stumbled across Alien or Aliens and watched it for like 20 minutes, absolutely shit my pants, and couldn't finish it, and just like had to turn it off, went to another room. And I think when I came back to it as like a teenager, I was like, fuck yeah, I want this weird alien to like kill everyone. And then the second one, I want the Space Marines to like go nuts with the machine guns and that. But yeah, no, I can definitely get behind that. So this is another one that I don't know I don't know how you're going to feel about half these movies.
But interesting.
Number 5 is Blade Runner, the original from '79. That movie literally like just blows me away every time because I just can't get over that it was made in the '70s. I'm just
that's a good point, actually. Yeah, I do like that film. It's not top 10 material, but I do like it. And I hadn't really thought about that actually when watching it. It does not feel like a '70s movie.
Like it looks so good. Like the effects are amazing, and I don't know. I like the guy that wrote the book, Philip K. Dick. I've read a lot of his shit, and I think I just really like the atmosphere of that movie. And then obviously like the sequel came out. Somehow they made a sequel.
I haven't seen the sequel. Is it? I've been intending to watch it. Okay.
If you like Blade Runner, and you like just being able to sit back and just watch a movie for like 2.5 hours, and it's just going to look so good, and you can just be drawn in, you'll like it. Some people don't because they just think it's long and drawn out, and I get that because it's a long movie. But I've watched it like 5 times. I can just sit there and just enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean the first Blade Runner's like, slow if not drawn out. It's not exactly like the paciest film.
No, exactly.
So, but it's sometimes like it doesn't. I don't know. I've got a friend who always goes on about pacing in films. Like whenever we talk about a film, the first thing he mentions is pacing, and basically if it's ever like slightly slow anywhere, he's written it off.
Oh wow!
But like sometimes that can like really it really adds to the atmosphere in the first one. I think that you're not rushing around all over the place. So
the fact that Harrison Ford just kind of like stands in the rain for like a minute, depressed as fuck, with this crazy synth music and like this amazing backdrop of New York or LA or whatever city it is. Like I can just sit there and happily enjoy that, but I get that others might be like, come on now, Harrison Ford, go kill the fucking androids, do your thing.
Yeah, I mean that's what I hear, because my favourite TV show is Breaking Bad by like a country mile. And I love like everywhere that it's slow. Like all the scenes where they're just having breakfast and you're like somehow so fucking tense about coffee getting passed across the table. Like it just I love every minute of that show. But the criticism I often see is about it being slow. So I guess it depends how you're coming into something, right? Like
Breaking Bad is amazing.
Oh yeah.
I remember when it came out on like FX or like some slightly like lower down American like channel. My parents were like, "Oh, it's Hal from Malcolm in the Middle," and I was like, "Yeah, whatever." And then about 3 years later, it moved to Netflix, and I was like, "Okay, I guess I'll watch this." Blown away. Watched the whole thing with my parents, and then I rewatched it in like February. I just sat in bed on my days off at work, just like engrossed. It's amazing.
Yeah. I've watched it twice through. I watched it, absolutely binged it on my own on Netflix when I first watched it, and then I rewatched it with my family to make them all watch it. and my mum loves it. For me, that's like the biggest, because my mum like physically can't watch some scenes. Like if scenes are violent in anything, she like covers her eyes or goes out. She really hates these like films that are like really explicitly graphic, and she still loves Breaking Bad. Like despite the violence and the themes, that's just like how good a show it is.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive considering how fucked up it gets from day one.
But it means we've all been watching Better Call Saul together now.
Is that good? I've only watched the first season.
I really like it almost as much as Breaking Bad. Really,
I've heard it's like some people say it's better, and I was like, whoa, okay, damn.
It kind of it is like different. Do you know, like they've not gone for the same. There's obviously they've brought the same like style of filmmaking to it, but they've not gone for the same. Like it's not as dark, I'd say overall. Like Saul is inherently like a lighter character than Walt.
Yeah, definitely.
But they're still taking their time telling the story. They've got some really interesting characters. I mean, I think Kim that they brought in is such a great character. Like, and obviously Mike and Saul already love them from Breaking Bad.
So good.
So yeah, I think it's great. I definitely felt when watching the first season, I hadn't like either it didn't know what it was going to be, or I hadn't quite settled into what it was going to be.
Okay.
Like when I watched the first season and some of the episodes, like there's an episode with Tuco, I think, that I can't even vaguely remember. Like it felt a little bit like trying to establish itself as what it was, and like, there's going to be some bits that relate to Breaking Bad, some bits where we're doing our own thing. But I think as it's gone on, it's definitely just like telling its own story. And
that's cool.
I think it's really good.
I've been meaning to. I probably need to rewatch the first season because I can't remember anything that happened, but I should probably watch that. What did you think of the movie, by the way? Speaking of Breaking Bad.
So, El Camino, have you watched it as well? Or
yeah, I've watched it twice, yeah.
Yeah, so before I like delve into spoilery explanations of I really like it. I really like it. I thought it was like the perfect amount of like it followed on from Breaking Bad. It maintained some of that pacing. It didn't try and tell too much with it. It was quite natural to pick up Jesse's story in that way, but also didn't try and make it like a happy ending. Or
it just felt like a extra long like epilogue episode, and I thought it was perfect. Like I don't think it was like the best thing I've ever watched, but it just felt like perfect for what it needed to be. And it introduced me, the song where I think Jesse and I can't remember the ginger guy's name. They're like in the car,
Todd.
And they've got Todd, fucking Todd, and they've got the body of the maid in the trunk of his car, and then that song called "Sharing the Night Together" by Dr. Hook starts playing, and Jesse's like in the car and he's going like "Sharing the night together," and it's like a real like nice song, but he's got like a dead body in the back of his car, and he's like freaking the fuck out. Like that scene's like perfect.
Yeah, I think like, I mean, so many of those scenes with Todd, like the scene where Jesse has the gun.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And like that flashback and just all the emotion in there, like it had a really good mix of scenes like that to kind of throw back and like flesh out actually what that experience, would be like. Like him being, literally imprisoned, like
imprisoned, yeah.
And then mixing that with a bit more retail, a bit not just like that extra story, but new story as well to continue.
Yeah.
If it had just been a film, like if you'd never seen Breaking Bad, like obviously it doesn't work. You can't just look at it as a standalone film. It has, it is an extension of the series, but as that, I thought it was fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking really good. Sick.
Anyway, we're
We went on a
massively
bike.
derailed halfway through your like.
Shit. Yeah, so that was Blade Runner, really fucking good. And then 6 is Children of Men by Alfonso Cuarón. And that, holy fuck, dude. Have you seen it?
This is one where we like really disagree.
Holy shit,
like,
really? Because
I just got bored with that film. Like literally,
no,
it just did nothing for me. I don't want to like shit on your movie. Like
no,
it wasn't like, but also it wasn't. I didn't watch it thinking like, oh god, this is aggressively bad. Don't get me wrong. I just like I got bored with it.
That's totally fair. For me,
but tell me why you love it. That's probably more interesting.
To be fair, I've seen it once. I do want to watch it again. But I think Matt told me for about 3 years to watch this movie, and I finally got round to it. I think it was on Netflix, and whereas you got bored of it, I was just like completely and utterly like transfixed by it. Like, it's quite standard as far as the story goes. Like, oh shit, we can't have any more kids for whatever reason. Everyone's gone a bit mental. You've got like this story of fucking Clive Owen. Clive Owen trying to get the mother and the baby out of the UK or wherever it is. And you've got fucking like Charlie Hunnam from Sons of Anarchy gets like killed at some point because he's an arsehole. I just love it. And then you get all the way through to the end and the rebels or the soldiers are all fighting and it's fucked up and the camera shot's like perfect and follows it through. And then everyone hears like the baby crying and everyone just goes, whoa, 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 holy fuck. What is that? And they just let them go through and get on the boat. And as soon as the boat drives off, they all start fighting again. And yeah, I don't know. There's just something about that movie that I just loved it, every minute of it. It's been a bit since I've watched it, to be fair. But when I was going through my list, I just saw it and I like saw Children of Men and I was like, write that shit down. Don't even think about it, just write it down.
Yeah, I didn't even hesitate.
Yeah, it's one of those.
I can definitely see what you mean about the cinema.
Yeah.
Like the camera shots and stuff. Like it definitely was. It was a film that looked good. Yeah. Like I definitely agree with that when I was watching it. I think the thing for me was that, like you were saying, where the story wasn't particularly new.
Yeah.
Or particularly like, it was a bit too beat for beat, and I think sometimes, like if you get grabbed by a film and you are just like enjoying the visual, that can be okay. But I think if you become too aware, it's just one of those where I just kind of realize like I've watched this story before in like a different format with different actors, but like I could just tell you what's going to happen. And
yeah, I get that.
Do you know what I mean? Do you ever get that when you watch a film where you just like, I could just tell you what the rest of this movie is from like 30 minutes in?
I was saying like last week, like there's some movies that look great and are shot really well. I mean, like even fucking this guy did Gravity with George Clooney and Sandra Bullock. Did you ever watch that?
I've not seen it.
It's not amazing, but like me, Matt, and Bill went to the cinema to watch it, and in the cinema, that movie was like blew us away. It was just how the fuck did they make this movie? But I went back and rewatched it, and even you could tell exactly what was going to happen throughout the entire fucking movie. It wasn't subtle or like it told it like really simply and like fair enough. It doesn't have to tell a complex story, so I can get where you're coming from in that you know what's going to happen. It's beat for beat. You're just following it through.
I think the one, like hearing you talk about Gravity, the one that really makes me think of is Avatar.
Oh,
James Cameron's Avatar. Just like that film was, I watched it in the cinema, like I think, or maybe even in 3D or whatever the like flavor of the time was. But like, yeah, it was just like absolutely, the visuals were incredible. And it was absolutely talked about. Everybody was talking about it. But yeah, if you were to sit and rewatch it, or even just sit, because I don't think I've seen it more than once, but like I sit and think back to the plot, and it's just such a meh film, really. It's like Ferngully without without the
It's just
charm.
Last of the Mohicans, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, god damn that movie. I remember they made a game for it as well that was actually like not too bad, and you could run around as one of the giant blue people with like a massive gun. And do you remember like they had like the floating rocks and stuff? So there's a level in the game where you obviously have to platform a little bit and you sort of jump across the rocks and that. But if you pressed LT on the Xbox controller, you do like a dodge where you'd like do a flip in the air and you jump like 3 meters forward. And I remember Bill was really struggling with this platforming bit. He was sat in his back room and he failed it again. And he was nearly towards the end, and I just leant over and like pressed the trigger, and he just did a flip off the edge of this fucking mountain. And he just looked at me like, "Why the fuck have you done that?" And I was like, "It's funny."
That's so cruel and so funny.
He did it first time after that, but yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah, bloody Avatar. Yeah, no, Avatar is one of those. Definitely, it looks amazing, but it's the blandest, simplest, like most by the books fucking thing you've ever watched in it.
Yeah, for sure.
That's fair. God, I'm interested. I think the next two you'll have seen. I don't know about the last two. Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh yeah,
that movie. Holy fuck.
So this is actually, you know Pete.
Oh yeah.
Who obviously I've watched all these films with. On our list of films, that is the most divisive film.
Really?
That we've both seen, because I've put it 5 out of 5, top end, and he has put it 1 out of 5. It's like one of his not even worth the time films, and I just don't understand. I cannot even begin to understand.
Like, I have a lot of emotions right now. If I wasn't in fucking Madrid, I'd go to wherever he lives and we'd have a sit down and talk about this, because I can understand you like it was fine, but I can't understand hating it.
Yeah, like pretty much any film I've ever watched, no matter how much I love it, I can accept that it's not somebody else's thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe you're not into rom-coms, maybe action just doesn't do it for you, maybe horror's too gory. Like, everybody has different tastes.
Yeah.
I can understand you kind of going, it's not my thing. But for, like, you two, there's some films where, like, when you say, that's actively bad.
What the fuck, dude?
Do you know, it's just like, how?
That movie has the best practical effects of any movie.
Yeah,
ever.
I mean...
Ever.
Like, have you never... Like, what child hasn't played with toy cars or played with... And this is just... Somebody did it with real cars and explosions. Again,
like, he made 3 fucking Mad Max movies. He then made Happy Feet 1 and Happy Feet 2. And then he went back to Mad Max and, like, in 2016, 17, whatever, and was like, okay, technology's pretty good now. I'm going to make this is like the best it could ever be. I've watched that movie, like, I know I was going about rewatching movies, but I go back and watch that movie every time, and I still get floored by the action, the pacing, the quiet moments, even like, like the Witness Me, I can't remember his name, but the Skull Boy, who becomes their mate and like sacrifices himself in the end. Like, that gets me every time, because they develop his character like all the way through the fucking movie, and like he changes.
Yeah,
he's part of the gang. Like, oh fuck no, Pete, if you're listening, you're not, but you're wrong. You're very wrong. That's all I have to say.
I think I'm going to make him rewatch it, like, and just see if he holds the same opinion, because for sure. Just for like. So many films just talk you to death.
Yeah.
Right? Just like everything, every bit of exposition, every bit of character development is through inane dialogue. And then there's a film that just literally absolutely sticks to the rule of show don't tell.
It just shows you everything.
And, like,
Like, the fact that Max says about 3 words in the entire movie, which is good because Tom Hardy just mumbles his lines anyway. But but you know exactly how he's
finally a film perfect.
You know how he feels the entire way through, like the entire way through. Damn.
for sure.
No, fuck you, Pete. That's an amazing movie. Not actually fuck you, because you're a good guy. We played Rocket League that one time, but
Yeah.
yeah, the movie's sick.
But we disagree with you on this one. Yeah.
Number 8 was a tough one because I could have put any of this dude's movies in my top 10, I feel, or at least most of them. Because you've got Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz,
Okay,
Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and they're my 3 favourites out of what's his name? Edgar Wright. There we go. They're my 3 favourites. I think At World's End is okay, and Baby Driver.
Yeah, I didn't like At World's End.
No,
but all the others I really like actually. Even Baby Driver.
Baby Driver's really good. So I was like, how the fuck do I choose? Because we even rewatched Scott Pilgrim at your house in January. Do you remember? Me, you, Bill.
Oh yeah, I just laughed so much. Like, I was so glad I watched it with people as well, but it just made me laugh absolutely so much.
It's amazing.
And
I feel like this should be like my pivot choice, because Hot Fuzz is one of the best movies ever, and it's so funny. It just fucks me up.
Oh yeah.
Shaun of the Dead is like a perfect zombie movie, but also a comedy as well. And I just love how it intertwines the two. And then Scott Pilgrim's like the best comic book movie I've ever seen, and it has so much to it. So basically, any of those 3 could be here, but I picked Hot Fuzz because I think it's like the best made out of the 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when you were listing the 3, I was thinking it'd have to be Hot Fuzz for me.
Yeah,
like it just has. I think for me, Hot Fuzz has all the best of like the other ones, and also it's very like familiar.
Yes, that's the word.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it has that. You can just imagine this town.
I've been to the town.
You can imagine the people. You can. Really.
We went. I think it's because it's in Somerset. I think, isn't it? We went. Fuck knows why. We were down there at one point when I was like 13, and I was like, "Why are we going to this like boring ass southern town?" And my mum was like, "Hot Fuzz was filmed here," and I was like, "Let's go. Okay, let's go."
Yeah, I'm on board.
It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
The movie's crazy good.
Yeah, because like I like Shaun of the Dead, but I guess I'm not as into zombie movies.
Yeah.
Like they're not. I enjoy the film, but if it wasn't Edgar Wright, I probably wouldn't. I mean, like just a zombie movie wouldn't
that's
do
fair.
it.
It's oh shit, dude! Now I'm remembering all the other zombie movies I like. Damn.
But Hot Fuzz. I think as well. Hot Fuzz I saw for Hot Fuzz just has like
it's got everything.
Yeah, everything in it. I think I've put it as 4 stars. Honestly, I might need to up Hot Fuzz to 5 stars because like it is just a film that absolutely stands out. Talking about formative films and films that stick with you. I can remember so many scenes. I can remember just about every death scene in that film. Like every I'm laughing at like every meme I see about it makes me laugh.
Yeah, my favourite one is when, again, names escape me, but when he has a shotgun and he goes shame, and he has to go off and kill someone. That's my favourite one. It's so good.
It's so good, and I do like. I mean, I really do like Baby Driver and Scott Pilgrim, but I mean, I really like the style and I really like how it's filmed, and I obviously was laughing so much, but I think that like the music in both those movies really elevates it.
Yeah, definitely.
And I know that's part of the film, but like, yeah, I guess Hot Fuzz is so good, like even with a shit soundtrack.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's that good.
If you change the soundtrack for Baby Driver or for Scott Pilgrim, it wouldn't
be as
work,
good.
I don't think.
I agree, definitely.
Whereas Hot Fuzz, you could play like painful white noise over the back of it, and I think I'd still enjoy that movie.
It's the dialogue and the writing and everything. Yeah, that's definitely why it's like the top of those 3, I think, for me. Yeah, so then last two, we've got The Thing, which I spoke a bit about last week, so I won't talk too much about. It's the
Ooh.
best horror movie ever. Like, for me,
Yeah.
that is the
Yeah.
best. Like, you feel so weirded out watching that movie, and like, whenever the thing like appears or you even hear it, you're just like, what the fuck is that? And also, it's Kurt Russell and fucking Keith David, like a pilot and like a doctor in the Antarctic, like getting pissy with each other, and like, it's like you're the thing, it was you, and they're like, I'm not the thing, you're the thing. But it's like,
Just Among Us in like
oh, it's
film
it's the
form.
it's the original Among Us, literally.
Yeah. Interestingly, I've since watched other films that have knocked it out, but when I originally did it, that was in my top 10 list
Oh,
as well.
really? Nice.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, just a couple of others have like edged it out, but yeah, definitely up there.
Yep. It's
Definitely.
so fucking good. Um,
Top 20 and it would definitely come back in.
yeah,
It's just top 10 is so tough.
exactly. And then the last one is another French one. It's called Three Colors Red. And basically, there was this Polish director. I can't pronounce his name, so I'm not going to. And he basically was like this amazing director, but couldn't get funding for shit in Poland for like his nice like art house films. So the French government were like, "Yo, we will give you the money to make 3 movies, and they have to be based off the French flag. So it's liberty, fraternity, and another one, like 3 like French values basically. Make 3 movies based off one of each of those. We'll fund the entire thing. We'll get you whoever you want. We think you're that good." And he was like, "Yeah, let's fucking do it." So he made 3 movies. I've only seen 2 of them. I've seen Red and Blue. I've not seen White. So Blue's all about like depression and shit because feeling blue, yada yada. It's still really good, but Red is like, I think that's the fraternity one. I'm not sure. Is like, it's quite short, an hour and 40, and not much happens. And the plot is super simple. It's basically about like this girl accidentally runs over someone's dog. She treats it at the vet. She finds out where he lives. She goes to see him. Here's your dog. And he's like, "Yeah, thanks, I guess. How much was it?" And she's like, a bit weirded out. And then she discovers that he's a former judge. And he's got like a radio transmitter. And he's been spying on everyone in his neighborhood and listening to like their phone calls. And that's the basic like starting point. But everything that happens afterwards and how it just looks and stuff, it's like a dream sequence. It's it's like the most,
Okay.
like, I put movies on here that like look amazing or are shot well, but it's like the prettiest thing I've seen despite being so simple. Um, I'd like 100% recommend it just to like try one of his movies. I think that's probably like the only one that's like a bit out there for me. The rest of my choices are probably pretty like Matty like. Oh, a thriller. Oh, Star Wars. Oh, like intense like race war shit. Like you could imagine that'd be my shit. But I didn't expect to love this one as much. I was really like taken aback, so that's why it's on there.
Okay. I mean, sometimes films that are like a bit out there, like it's nice to watch them even if you don't like them.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Like it just kind of broadens a bit of. It's a bit like when I did the like I wanted to watch a film from every
Yeah, yeah.
released every one of those years. I didn't enjoy every one of those films I
No, of
watched. Like
course not.
some of the some of the early ones are really dated. Some of the silent films in the 20s, like it was probably incredible at the time, but
Yeah,
you watch it and you just think, well, yeah, this would have been better with dialogue.
yeah.
If they'd have had the technology, they would
It just would
have.
have been better.
And sometimes you just like an out there film, it just like yeah, you just get something out of it, no matter what, right? And sometimes you love it.
Yeah, like the broadening your perspective and like horizons and that. Because I don't even remember how the fuck I like even saw. I think it was on like a Letterboxd list or some shit. because I watched that movie, I watched The Colour Blue, one of the trilogy. I watched a separate one of his that's French as well, and then I like have a bunch more that I want to watch that are like French or like I watched. You remember Amelie? I remember watching that in fucking French class.
Yeah,
Thought nothing of it. Rewatched it because I was like, okay, come on, let's try some different stuff. That movie's fucking great. I love that movie. It's a goddamn delight.
yeah.
Like fucking like,
I did exactly
yeah,
the same thing. I rewatched it. I was like, "Oh, that movie's all right, right?" I remember it being okay in French. Like, watched it again,
yeah.
5 out of
Oh,
5 for sure for me.
that
I
movie's
love that
great.
film.
So it's one of those, and I think because it opened me up to like other stuff, um, I think that's why it's on there as well. Um, but yeah, that's my top 10. So you got a mix
Yeah,
of action, horror, sci-fi, thriller, French. Is French a category? I'm gonna say that it is because French movies are very
it
like
kind of is, right?
they're a specific type of movie. I feel like most of the time.
Yeah, it's a bit like anime as a category,
Oh
right?
fuck me, yeah, yeah,
Whereas but like anime is like so broad, really. Like if you watching Japanese
yeah.
films,
It's
that's a
huge.
massive spectrum, but you still kind of
Yeah,
group it because there is common themes and common differences. Like I think you can do the same with French films, right?
yeah. We'll have to do an anime episode at one point because I've obviously seen quite a lot since my degree and everything. Um, but
Oh yeah, there's
one
a
other thing I
shitload.
forgot to say was, the love interest in Amelie. He's called Matthew Kosovitz. He directed La Haine, which is on my top 10. And I remember like
Okay,
seeing like his name, and I was like, looks kind of familiar. And he fucking directed that movie, and I was like, dude, what the fuck? How do you like one
yeah,
of the best sort of rom-commy movies ever, and then you direct like a hard-hitting like I'm gonna fuck you up kind of deal thing? Like shit. So yeah, that's my top 10. It's a
yeah,
it's a decent one.
yeah. There's definitely. I'm Lahane. This is going to be so many films now are just going to be kicked up that I like need to watch. Do you know
Yeah.
like so? I had been like writing down all my films in a to watch list.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I've already told you this, but
Maybe.
so in April, I think it was, I decided like I checked how many films long it was because I had a main list. I had some like oh mum or dad recommended, some classic sci-fi I want to
Yeah.
give a go, and I totaled all these up, and it was 100 films
Fuck
long.
me.
So like then I've set myself the challenge that I have to watch more films than I add
Oh,
in a
nice.
month, and I was like, that'll be easy.
That's
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 been
hard.
fucking hard. I'm down to 77 at the moment, right? So I've managed to get 23 films
Yeah.
off it, but Christ, I must have watched like
Yeah.
60, 70 films off that list. And just like I keep adding more. And now every time we hop on each week, you're going to be like, oh, this movie's fantastic. And then I'm going to be like, oh, I've got to watch La Haine now. I've got to watch Little Miss Sunshine. I've got to watch Death of Stalin. I've got to watch Three Colors
Yeah.
Red. I've got to watch the new Blade Runner.
Shit, dude, that's a lot already. At least, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I'm the exact same. Like, I'll just be on Reddit, or you'll tell me Memento is really good, and lo and behold, we'll talk about it in a bit, but it was really fucking good. Um, it's even stuff like, did you ever watch any of the Final Destination movies?
no, I've. It's one where like I remember when they were
Yeah,
coming out, I saw the trailers and I never watched them at the time, but I've thought back a couple of times and like I have been really tempted to like whack one on and see if it's actually the dumb fun
it
I'm
is.
expecting or if
Like,
they're just bad.
I don't think I've watched them all. I've definitely watched like the first two, and maybe like the fourth one, and I don't even know how I got onto it somehow, but apparently the fifth one's like actually good. Like the first one's like a decent, gory horror flick, and then the rest of them are shit. And then somehow the fifth one like found form and was actually like a good one, like the first one. So I'm gonna like that got added down to my list. So it's just stupid shit like that, like supposed to be like
Yeah,
amazing, but I want to watch it. So my list just going nuts. I've got movies on here from like when I first made my Letterboxd that I still haven't watched.
Yeah, I've got some films. I've got some films like that where just like I'd either watched a YouTuber and they just happened to mention it, or just the title had seemed interesting, or I'd seen another film I'd seen like a particular actor for the first time and thought, oh, I should watch another one of their films. And so it's at the point where like I can't even remember what the film is or why it's on there. It's just there on my to watch list, and I've committed to it now.
That you made the right decision to want to watch it when you did about a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes I made some bad choices. Like I watched, like I just finished watching 7 Year Itch.
I've not heard of that.
Which I don't know if you've seen. So that's Marilyn Monroe.
Oh yeah.
And that film's really funny. It's like it's really lightweight. Like it's not one that I'd say is like, you know, oh my god, it's the best film ever kind of thing. But it's fun. It is quite different. Like if you've never seen anything with Marilyn Monroe in it, I would say like watch the 7 Year Itch, because that's a good version that kind of tells you a lot about.
It's on my watch list now, James. So if anything, just proves what we're talking about.
Yeah, but then I watched a film called Monkey Business because I was like, okay, I've seen one film, I'll watch another film with Marilyn Monroe in, because I've not really seen much from her. But Monkey Business was so bad. So it's Marilyn Monroe and Cary Grant.
Okay.
Well, so when you look at the film, the like poster art is just Marilyn Monroe.
Okay.
She's a tiny side character. It was a film really early in her career.
Right.
Like the main one is Cary Grant and another actress whose name escapes me at the minute. Another actress is in.
We don't know her name.
Other than Marilyn, but but it was just so bad. It's like they're experimenting on chimps in the lab, trying to make like a formula that makes you young, but when they take it, they like regress to being a teenager and a child and a baby. So you've got these adult actors acting like they're children.
Oh god!
And it's just so cringy. It's just.
I can tell you're not a fan.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, I watched it with my parents, and God, it was just such a mistake. But it found its way on my list.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, if you want to watch a film with Marilyn Monroe in it, the one you really, really should watch is Some Like It Hot.
Okay.
So that's Jack Lemmon, Tony Curtis, and Marilyn Monroe, and it is. I think it's so funny. My dad loves it. My mum loves it. That's why I kind of ended up watching it. But
oh wow, to be fair, this looks pretty. To be fair, on like friends that have watched this movie, apart from Matt's given it 4 stars, and then you, my mate Frankie, and then like a YouTube video essay dude have all given it 5 stars. So yeah, I've never really watched like anything be like backwards. I can't even speak. Anything previous to like the 70s. I think like Star Wars and Blade Runner is like as far back as I've gone, and I've never really gone into like the golden age of like 50s, 60s, like Hollywood, Monroe kind of stuff. I know you've watched quite a bit though.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I won't go off. At least not now, because I'll just give you like the to watch list will just already become impossible. But Some Like It Hot is a really good one too, because Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon. The film opens with them looking for work, and then they get offered this job as they need two. They're both musicians, and the only group they end up can get work for is an all-female group. So they're both dressed up as like Daphne and so I can't remember what the other guy takes for the name, but so it's them two and Marilyn Monroe in this like band, and they're trying not to get discovered, but obviously they both fancy Marilyn Monroe, and then like
right.
Yeah, it is.
That sounds good. What I'll do is that'll be my movie for the week to talk about on the next episode.
Yeah, and I'll commit to watching some of the ones you've suggested. I'm not going to say
Yeah,
which,
yeah.
but because that will probably be like a random two. But I'll try and get a couple
Sound.
watched, and then the thing for me is like my new when I do, because I have to watch more than I add. I do it monthly.
Okay.
So partly like when it ticks over into the new month in like a few days, suddenly I'm like not. I can just add like 5 films because I can commit to watching 6 over the course of the month. Whereas if I add like 5 now, I've got to like it's quite a lot to get watched in 5 days. Kind of thing.
Yeah. So have you wait what did you watch this week? I'm trying to remember. I feel like I've talked a lot about. Obviously, I want to talk about Memento a little bit, but is there anything you?
So the film I watched that I actually enjoyed was Ariete.
Oh, I saw you rate that. Is it a Ghibli one or is it just Japanese?
Yeah, it is. It's a Ghibli one. It was 5 out of 5 for me.
Oh shit!
I thought it was great.
Damn.
So it's based on The Borrowers.
What's that?
Which I didn't realise. You don't know what The Borrowers is?
Nope.
Wow. So there is a film called The Borrowers, but actually that's also based on a book.
Okay.
By Mary somebody. I can't remember her surname. But yeah, she's an English author who wrote this novel that I read as a kid. And it's about tiny people, basically. Little people called the Borrowers who live under the floorboards and borrow stuff.
Right. Okay. I get you. Yeah.
So I don't know if you might have like heard of it or not known that it was the Borrowers, but that's like they live in like a shoebox under the floorboards and like their tables like they've nicked something like a spool for the cotton that is now their table in the middle and stuff like this. So I really like the book, or like I really like the story. It captures like I don't know. It really grabbed my imagination, I guess. Like that's why all the stuff in your house goes missing. It's because it gets borrowed. But the like English or American film that The Borrowers is absolute dog shit.
Oh wow, okay.
Right, it is just like the worst. It was like
just
1990s or early 2000s. I can't quite remember. It's just really bad. It's like live action. It doesn't really.
Oh fuck.
It just doesn't work somehow for me anyway. It's really slapstick and not in like a particularly clever way. But Ariete, so the main character in The Borrowers is called, well, I don't know if she's the main character, but Ariete and her parents are like the family you follow. So that's who Ghibli follows in in their film.
Gotcha.
And it works so much better. Like everything about how it's drawn like gives you a sense of the scale. Like there's a really early scene where she's pouring like the tea, and it just like comes out in a big droplet to fill the cup, like rather than pouring. And like
I love stuff like that.
All the little bits of attention to detail that make you realize it's on a small scale. And like when you see the humans, they seem normal when you're following them, but when the borrowers are looking at the humans, like they're like slow and they're framed so they don't ever like fit entirely into the shot.
Cool.
And things like that. So you can only see part of their face or just their hands, so they just seem massive. Yeah, just everything about it is done so well. And I was so pleased because I like The Borrowers and I hate The Borrowers film, and this is like actually a good version of the story in like film.
That's good. It's like
I really.
It's nice when I'm trying to think. What probably one thing because obviously Avatar: The Last Airbender, amazing TV show. We don't talk about the fucking M. Night Shyamalan movie because it may be the thing I hate the most in this world. Honestly,
it'd be like Ghibli did suddenly brought out an Avatar: Last Airbender feature-length film, and it was great. It was like it's like something I'd been asking for and didn't know that I'd been asking for it.
The thing is that Netflix commissioned the creators of Avatar to do a live action. I don't know why, because I didn't fucking want this. Like a live action TV show or a movie. I think it was a show. And I was like,
oh yeah, I saw a headline about it.
Why the fuck have they done that? because this is something that is no one needs this. That show is perfect. Just leave it as it is. But I guess it could have been like, well, there was that really shit live action movie, but then they got the original dudes to come back and they made like a really good live action one, and maybe it's like a palate cleanser. Unfortunately, they both left the production of the show, so now it's like Netflix is just producing this fucking live action version of the TV show. It doesn't have the original creators, so now it's like even more. What the fuck is the point? And my friend, who's sort of a friend, they were like, "Oh, no, it'll be good. Oh no, like I'm really looking forward to it." And I'm like, "We don't need it. We know exactly what the story is. That show is perfect. Why do we need it to be fucking, I don't know, Matt Damon is fucking General Jack? I don't need that shit."
Yeah, like if it had been a novel, or a graphic novel,
comics are amazing.
Or something like that.
They've made comics that are like sequels and bridge the gap between the two shows, and they're really good. But
because it is a very different medium. Like if you want to adapt a book or adapt something like that, I mean, maybe adapt, but like bringing a TV show to film, you're not really even that's not changing that much. But bringing a TV show to another TV show,
who's that for?
It's like the live action Disney remakes. It's just
exactly like that.
Why are you? You're not doing anything new. You're just recycling an IP.
And like, what's the point in that? Yeah, no.
And without, it doesn't. It can't have the same. It's live action, so inherently it needs to be more serious.
Yep.
Or at least some of the goofy elements won't work in the way that they do in a cartoon. So it loses some of the charm from the tone. A lot of the action is either going to have to be changed or it's going to be bad CGI. Well, maybe it won't be bad. Maybe the CGI will be fine. But I really hate when they try and do things that work so well in cartoon. It just doesn't work for CG.
It gets on my tits quite a lot.
Yeah.
And the fact that you've already got a really, really, really bad movie that already shows you that this doesn't fucking work. Stop. Fucking,
just
Western...
Don't. You have the option not to.
Whatever. Just fucking stop. You made one TV show that was amazing. You made a second TV show that was a 6 going on an 8 at times, and it goes in between those two numbers. And you made some really fucking good comic books. You don't need to make another fucking live action thing because you know it doesn't work. You morons. Anyway, that's my rant over. But
I mean, I will say, I don't necessarily hate that they chose to do it live action. If it had been like a prequel, or I don't know, they've chosen a particular character that they really loved. Like maybe I can't remember the name of the prior avatars. But, like the firebending avatar that came before him.
But that's the thing, James, is that they basically they've already done it. They tell you everything you need to know about the previous one, the one before that, the one before that. In fucking Korra, they even go back to the first one, the original Avatar. So
oh wow,
so
okay.
You could maybe do like a spin-off or something, but I think
Cabbage Guy.
Cabbages! He's the best. Best character. So well written. He has so much fucking depth. I love him. I think my problem is that they've already done as many spin-offs and extra bits. Yeah. They've even done a fucking sequel to Korra in comic book form that's really good. So when they decide to just make, let's just do the first one again, but it's with real people, I'm like, well, that's the laziest thing ever. Anyway. Ugh.
Yeah.
Gross.
It's a bit like, I mean, maybe this is controversial, but I feel similarly about when they do gender swaps on an IP. When they just say, let's make the same thing again, and swap everyone's gender, but it's going to be the same story. And like, it doesn't. It's one of those things where it's just a cash grab. There's no like love of the story. There's no development of a new character. It's just like, why didn't you just write a new story? You know, I mean, I know why, because it's harder.
Exactly,
because writing a new interesting character and a new interesting storyline takes more effort, and they couldn't be bothered. And I don't know, I can't.
It's just lazy.
Yeah,
it's like, I don't know. It's a difficult subject, and as a white dude, you know, I don't have like the whole experience, obviously. But if it is literally just, here is this story, but we're gonna make them a dude or we're gonna make them a girl, that doesn't add anything. Like the whole point of like modern living or whatever is just that it doesn't fucking matter what you are or who you are. So like changing the gender, what's the point?
Yeah, especially when, I mean, there's some of it like when they initially changed Doctor Who.
Oh yeah.
I'll be honest, I got a bit defensive about it.
Oh.
And I think looking back, I was kind of like, actually, that's one where it really makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like at the time, I was like, I probably said similar things where it's like, oh, they just can't think of a plot. I mean, I'll be honest, like, I don't know why I was like that, because I'd stopped watching when it changed to Capaldi. So, like, this was after I'd even stopped watching the show. But, like, looking at it, it's like, you can just tell new stories and just, it's a woman now. You know, like, it's not like they rebooted the same thing to bring in a female character. So, like, you know, shit like that, I think, I accept that how I felt about it before is kind of bullshit. You know what I mean? So, like, it's not that it's, like, bad to bring more women into
that's
like these
not.
IPs and things, or other characters. I just mean that, if you're just telling the same story but have flipped some tiny part, you know, it's like, this character is now, you know, the same but different actor, or this character is now live action instead of animated. That's when it's, you know, I'm not talking about it's bad to include diversity. I'm talking about it's bad to be lazy.
I feel like Harry Potter, they changed it to... Actually, no. I feel like, no, fuck Harry Potter. We're not even getting into that shit.
God, you know, don't... that's a whole rabbit hole at the moment.
Retarded as well. But say Luke Skywalker is now Luke Skywalker.
Well, yeah, like, Star Wars is a good example, actually, of it. Like, you know, like, bringing in Rey.
Yeah.
You know, loads of people bitch about Rey. But she is just a new character. Like, that is a new story. And I was, you know, it wasn't all I hoped it would be in the new trilogy, but certainly Force Awakens, I fucking loved Force Awakens.
I rewatched that and that was great. Yeah, because, like, people, those fucking nerds, I swear to God, that are like, Rey's a Mary Sue, why did she succeed? She fails at, like, literally nearly everything that she does. Like, and Luke Skywalker... You fucking buttholes. Like, he's literally the chosen one. Like, it is the most chosen one story ever.
He is the merriest of Sues.
Apart from at the very end, obviously Darth Vader, like, helps him out a little bit. But fuck me, guys.
Yeah. And, like, everybody blew up about Finn's character. Like, when the trailer hit, like... My God, he's black, you know.
Like, what the fuck's wrong with you?
And then he got one good movie, and then they sidelined him.
Did my head in that bit.
I actually saw. I mean, I saw an interesting quote from the actor who was saying about how, basically saying how his Star Wars experience or his Star Wars contribution has been, just entirely defined by his race. That's how everybody talks about it. I mean, I've literally just done it by bringing up the the way people reacted. But yeah, but there's things like that. So like I think Star Wars did that well. They didn't. They told a similar story. You know, like Force Awakens had a lot of the themes, and you know there was another fucking Death Star, but it was new. They were brand new characters that they wrote for that story. We'd never seen the defector stormtrooper who, you know, just is uncomfortable with what he's being asked to do. We hadn't seen this kind of like desert planet nobody can become a Jedi without having heritage. I mean, I know they brought in Palpatine later, but at the time she had no parents. She was actually a nobody. She wasn't actually like a Skywalker or anybody. So
that's it. Oh God.
Whereas as opposed to I don't know what's like I guess the Avatar live action or these new Disney remakes or I haven't watched it, but I've seen enough clips of it to know I'd feel similarly about the new Ghostbusters.
Oh shit.
That's one where I'm actually. It probably got shit on more than it deserved, but every clip I've seen of it does look so bad.
Really bad. Me and Matt and Bill in York once, we went out and got really stoned, and we ordered pizzas and we watched is it Mr. Plinkett? I think he's a YouTube dude, and it's like his review or analysis of the new Ghostbusters movie. It's like it's not that they're women, because that doesn't fucking matter. It's just that it's pure dog shit. As is, that's literally it.
Yeah, yeah. I really like Plinkett's review of the
They're amazing. They're so good.
That I've watched. I watched them before I watched the prequels. So like for quite a while, I'd spent like I don't know. I'd only seen the Phantom Menace, but I'd spent like 3-4 times as long watching reviews of all of them.
They are bad movies, to say the least.
The prequels, the prequels are.
I like a lot of.
I'm sorry, I just suddenly got struck by how much we've rabbit holed from. Like, I don't even know how did we even get to this. What were we talking about?
I think we talked about
Avatar,
the animated movie, in like adaptations, and that got onto like Avatar, and then it got onto like decisions regarding like gender and making changes. And then it got into Star Wars, which is the biggest rabbit hole I think ever, considering there's 9 fucking movies.
Oh yeah, I mean Star Wars ever creeping in, we can just talk about forever. I mean, how many hours of our lives have we spent talking to each other about Star Wars, let alone talking generally about Star Wars?
A lot of time. Yeah, we should probably just have like a Star Wars themed episode. Just get it all out. Yeah,
that is just. We are going to talk from. Maybe it's like Star Wars month.
That's
to be honest.
That's a very good point.
Month of May, just
dude.
All Star Wars.
I'm down. Let's talk about that in 9 months. Oh shit.
Oh, we've committed now.
Yeah. Memento. That's a fucking good movie. That is. I gave it 4 stars.
Yeah, boy.
That's like, I didn't realise it was, what's the dude's name? The director? He's done a lot of shit.
My brain's gone. Let me remind myself. I think it's
Christopher Nolan. That's it.
I'm now doubting myself.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan.
Obviously, he's done a lot of shit. Apparently Tenet's crap. You can't hear anything in the movie, apparently. But I've not watched it, so we're not going to talk about that. But this movie...
Oh, yeah. I haven't heard anything good about Tenet, but I will. I probably will watch it just because, like, Memento is a good enough film to, you know.
But yeah, Memento was like, I have to admit, I had to restart it after watching it for 10 minutes because I got really confused about what was happening, and then I eventually figured out that the black and white was from the beginning and the colour was the end. And I just loved watching it just meet in the middle, and how that scene at the end starts off in black and white and slowly goes to colour. I think that's how it works. Or just putting the pieces together, and you feel like you're the character, but you feel like you're him, and you're just like I was constantly, whenever he took his shirt off, whatever. I was like scanning his body for clues. I was like, what the fuck does that mean?
For clues, yeah.
Mean? And I really love the scene with, I can't remember her name, but the lady from The Matrix. When he's in a house, she's berating him. I was saying, like, calling him all this stuff, and he hits her. And she's like, whatever, and she leaves. And then 30 seconds later, she comes right back in the house. And she's like, oh, he hit me and all this stuff. And then it turns out, obviously, that she's completely manipulated him to get rid of Dodd, the hitman or the drug dealer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just a really cool movie.
Just the way, like, and because he's like frantically writing, isn't he? Like trying to remind himself, because he knows what she's about to do,
and he just
can't.
And then, obviously, it builds and it builds and it builds, and he gets right to the last scene, and he comes down out of the motel, and Teddy's there, and they drive to the place, and Lenny has killed Jimmy, and he's put on all of his clothes, and Teddy's like, what the fuck? And then he just reveals everything, and it's like, this is like the 5th John G that you killed, because he just will never, ever, ever remember. And it was really, really cool that, obviously, he's then like, right, well, if I'm not going to remember this, then guess what, Teddy? You're the next one. And obviously, throwback to blowing his brains out in that crappy abandoned place. And it was like, whoa, that like the lies we tell ourselves and kind of weird shit.
Yeah, just the fact, like, for the whole movie, you've been questioning Teddy, because it says, like, don't trust his lies, right? You know, you trust like the photos and the tattoos, like that's all you have to go on. So you've just assumed that they're true in the same way that he's doing, and then you just have this like, just this moment of, all that. Why did you trust that? It was just a photo with his handwriting. Like, why would you believe that? Why would you kill somebody over that?
Even Teddy,
just this realization.
Throughout the movie, he's like, oh, you're using those photos. You tattooed this. Like, it's not going to help you. And he's even telling Lenny throughout that this doesn't work. Obviously, Lenny uses that against him in the end.
Or in the beginning, depending on how you like.
But yeah, that was a really cool movie. And just watching it go, whoop, and meeting in the middle after it all. Yeah, that was good shit. I'm glad that I watched that.
Yeah, I was tempted. I didn't know when I suggested it whether to tell you, like, okay, the way the idea is like this bit's going back in time, this bit's.
Oh yeah.
You know, like I didn't know whether to like preempt you because it can be confusing. But when I watched it, that was one that Pete recommended to me, and he like didn't tell me, and I think I kind of found it better for that. Like I didn't go in with any expectations.
No, you need to watch that. Just no idea what's going to happen. Like all I knew was that it was a thriller by Christopher Nolan, so I knew it was going to be weird. But like, yeah, it was cooler to get that experience just like completely fresh as you're watching it with no like prior knowledge.
Yeah, it's just so good that film. It's like one of the most solid ones in my top 10 for me, and just like it's like it's clever. They had to think about how to do it. You know, like that's such a hard film not to make frustrating, right? A guy who forgets everything. So that filming in reverse so that you don't know either.
Really clever.
You know, you're literally in the same boat. Like, it not only does it make it interesting and add the mystery, it removes that frustration. Or at least you're not frustrated with the character.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. No, super clever. Really well written. Would definitely, like, say to someone, watch that shit, because you'll have a really, like, maybe not a good time, you'll be really hooked by it, definitely.
Yeah, like, you know, sometimes, like, you want to recommend a film, but it's hard to say, you'll enjoy it, because, like, you sometimes you're literally saying to someone, I think you should do this, but you'll have a bad time for an hour and a half. You'll either be stressed or crying or whatever. That's the one that jumps back to my mind. There is Requiem for a Dream, which is obviously one of my top 10s I mentioned last week. Like, I definitely would recommend to somebody that they watch it, but I could not say that I enjoyed that movie in the way that I can say, oh, I enjoyed Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah, I mean, Lahane versus Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, I kind of need a wee, so I'm going to go for a PP, and we might end the PP podcast as well for this week, folks. How does that sound, James? I think
that was perfect.
I should end.
That was
how the podcast needs to end each week. Is that I've drunk my coffee over the course of an hour and a half, say, and now I need a wee because the caffeine is pushing it out of my body. So that's how we know we have to end.
Yeah, that sounds a good way as any. And it conveniently makes it like a little over an hour, probably. Which is about what we're looking for.
Cool. So it's goodbye for now, folks, and we'll see you next week.
I don't think you. I think that's copyright.
Book Buddy. Wait, Looney Tunes.
Yeah. It's your Looney Tunes, right?
We may see you next week. Who knows? That's how we're going to end. Bye.
Bye.